The stars above Sector 977 flickered like cold, distant eyes. This region of space had been quiet for decades, under strict control of the Zenthari Dominion, one of the Galactic Empire's most ruthless arms. No ship dared enter without permission. No species survived long if they did. But today, something had changed. Something massive, metal, and very, very human had arrived. Captain Valar of the Dominion fleet stood motionless on the bridge of his command ship, the axe of Dominion, his 4 eyes wide, mandibles clicking in disarray. Before him, suspended in the holographic feed, was a visual of the unthinkable. A human warship, unmarked, silent, positioned perfectly between the sector's twin moons, like it belonged there, as if it was home. "Run it again," Valar hissed. "That cannot be real. Their last known coordinates were 3 quadrants away." A nervous ensign reran the scan. The readings stayed the same. Human, warship, class designation, siege carrier, Earthforge Mark 9. The words punched through the silence like a thunderclap. "They don't belong here," the communications officer whispered, tail twitching. "No," Valar muttered. "They're not allowed here." But the humans had never cared much for permission. He activated emergency command relay. "Alert the Empire. Priority 1. I want every patrol rerouted. Full system lockdown." On board the warship, Earthforge Mark 9, the bridge was eerily calm. Commander Riker Graves leaned back in his chair, boots casually propped against the steel console, watching the panic unfold in real time on intercepted Dominion frequencies. He sipped from a chipped black mug with the old Terran Defense logo faded along the side. "Scared already?" he smirked. Beside him, Lieutenant Sana Endari scrolled through intercepted messages. "They've scrambled half their defense net. Multiple cruisers repositioning. They're blind without realizing it. They think we're alone." Riker stood, cracked his neck, and gazed at the viewport. The black of space stretched endless before them. But somewhere behind those stars, fear was taking root. "I didn't come here to hide," he said quietly. "I came here to remind them why they signed that treaty in the first place." Sana glanced at him. "You really think it's time?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he stepped forward, voice low but strong. "For too long, they've forgotten what humanity is capable of. They look at our peace like weakness. It's time to remind them." On the Dominion flagship, the panic was spreading. More ships were now en route. 6 destroyers, 2 battle cruisers, all headed for the lone warship like wolves toward prey. Valar clenched his claws. "Send a message immediately." "What do you want to say, Commander?" He leaned in close to the transmitter, voice trembling but determined. "This is Sector 977. You are trespassing on Galactic Empire territory. Identify yourself, human vessel. You have 60 seconds before we open fire." Back on the Earthforge, Riker raised an eyebrow as the message came through. He smirked. "Still giving us countdowns like we don't know what they're about to do." Sana glanced at him. "Should we respond?" He looked at her and shook his head. "Number, let him sweat." Then the warship began to move. Not fast, not aggressive, just a quiet, calculated drift forward, toward the Dominion fleet. And that's when the sensors on the enemy side started screaming. "Sir, it's not alone," an officer on Valar's ship cried. There's something else." From the shadows behind the human warship, multiple signatures blinked into visibility. Stealth frigates. Human stealth frigates. The humans had never come alone. They just made you think they did. Valar's blood ran cold. "Prepare for engagement," he shrieked. But he already knew. They were too late. The silence before a battle is never truly silent. On board the Earthforge Mark 9, The hum of energy pulsing through the ship's systems was steady and strong, like a predator's heartbeat before a kill. Commander Riker Graves stood at the center of the bridge, watching the Dominion fleet scatter into defensive formation on the holomap, like roaches sensing a boot about to fall. But this wasn't about war, not yet. This was about reminding. "Confirm the cloak on the frigates," he said. Sana tapped into the ops console. "Confirmed, all 7 units holding positions. They're locked in on Dominion frequency bands and jamming scans. They still think it's just us." "Perfect," Riker muttered. He didn't need overwhelming force. He needed precision. Fear was sharper when delivered slowly. On the Dominion side, chaos was growing. Inside the Axe of Dominion, Valar's officers were yelling over one another. Sensor logs were being rerun. Weapon systems were warming up too slowly. The very appearance of the human ship had cracked open something primal. A fear buried deep in the genetic memory of the galaxy. The last time humans appeared unannounced, 3 star systems were lost in a single night. "We need to strike now," an officer barked. "Before more arrive," Valar snarled. "Number, we fire now. We trigger a war we're not ready for. We need to stall, demand identification again." But it was too late for conversation. A blue flash lit the void. Brief, almost subtle. Then a Dominion destroyer simply vanished. No explosion. No wreckage, just gone. Silence returned. Then came the screams. "Contact lost with Virecti Blade. Sir, we didn't even detect a weapons discharge. They're cloaked. The humans have stealth-capable ships." Valar froze. "How many?" "We don't know." In his bones, he felt it. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't human arrogance. This was strategy, a message. On the Earthforge, Riker turned calmly. "Send this," he told comms. Sana nodded, ready. "What do you want to say?" He didn't even look at the screen. "Just 5 words." She waited. Riker smirked. "Return the prisoners, or burn." The message was sent on all open Dominion channels. No encryption, no formality. Just those 5 words, spoken in a voice that hadn't forgotten the past. When it echoed across Dominion ships, a cold dread spread through the ranks. "What prisoners?" Valar muttered. He didn't know. That was the worst part. Somewhere, someone high up had taken something, or someone, that mattered to the humans. And now this sector, his sector, was where the hammer had come down. "Tell command," he growled. "Tell them they provoked this. We need answers now." Riker leaned against the steel rail, watching their feed of the Dominion scramble like a man watching a storm roll in from the horizon. There was no victory in this, not yet, but they'd made their presence felt. Behind him, the bridge was quiet, focused. Everyone knew the story. Everyone remembered Earth's silence after the Xenophage Wars, after the Treaty of Thyler. Humanity had been quiet for decades. Too quiet. They called it peace. But Riker had always seen it for what it was, an intermission. And now? The second act had begun. "Sir," Sana said, "the Dominion fleet is pulling back. 3 cruisers repositioning. No shots fired yet." "Good," he said. "They know we're serious." "What if they don't return the prisoners?" Riker turned slowly, that tired glint in his eyes hardening like steel. "Then we show them what silence looks like from our side." And outside, in the cold black, another destroyer blinked out of existence. No warning, no lights, no sound, just gone, like a whisper swallowed by the void. The Dominion Command Center on Vardax Prime was in full emergency protocol. Sirens pulsed low through the underground halls, echoing like a heartbeat growing too fast. High-ranking officials moved with urgency, but none of them knew what they were running toward, only what they were trying to avoid. High Imperator Threx Solari stood hunched over a holographic feed of Sector 977. His skin, a pale, cracked gray, twitched along his brow ridges. He hadn't seen a human warship in 21 cycles. Not like this. Not moving silently, erasing ships without leaving debris. Not commanding an entire fleet with nothing but 5 words. He played the transmission again. "Return the prisoners, or burn." Threx's voice was a hiss. "Which prisoners?" His aide, a trembling young Xanthari, barely out of academy, shuffled through security logs. "Sir, cross-referencing detention records from border stations and covert facilities across Sector 9. 1 potential match found." "Speak." 3 months ago, a covert unit from Biotech Division seized a vessel near the Pelnor Rift. It had been running low-energy emissions to avoid scans. They boarded and extracted 5 life forms. 4 of them were unregistered humans. Threx's face darkened. "Unregistered? Where did they come from?" "Unknown, sir. Their ship was not in any human registry, but they resisted capture. 2 Dominion operatives were killed. The surviving humans were taken to Black Cell 12 for experimentation." The room went still. Black Cell 12 was off books, an experimental research facility buried inside an asteroid where biological limits were tested and species were broken apart in the name of progress. Even the Empire didn't officially acknowledge it. Threx's voice dropped to a whisper. "Who authorized this?" "Unknown, sir. Authorization codes were forged." The Imperator's claws curled. He knew what this was now. Someone deep in the Dominion's power structure had taken human operatives, Black Ops, maybe even ghosts from the old Terran war divisions. And now Riker Graves, a name whispered like a threat in classified Dominion reports, was standing in their backyard, and burning it down 1 ship at a time. "Recall every ship in the 9th Sector, lock down Black Cell 12, and prepare an emergency envoy." "Sir?" the aide stammered. "We need to stop this before he stops us." On board the Earth Forge, the atmosphere had shifted. Riker stood in front of a private holo terminal as an encrypted channel opened. The face that appeared on screen was worn, tired, and unmistakably human. General Adira Voss, head of the Terran Outer Defense Command. "I told you not to start a war," she said, without so much as a greeting. Riker didn't flinch. "I'm not starting anything. I'm finishing it. They'll say you broke the treaty. They broke it first when they stole our people and threw them into a ghost lab. You don't even know if they're alive." "I don't care," Riker growled. "Dead or alive, I'm not leaving them behind. Not again." Voss exhaled, staring into him with steel-gray eyes that had buried too many soldiers. "This isn't Earth 20 years ago. You burn that sector and the Empire will respond with force. I'm counting on it." A long silence stretched between them. Finally, she said, "Then you're on your own. Command won't authorize backup. You do this, Riker, you better finish it. Clean." He nodded once. "I never expected help." Voss leaned forward. "What you're doing, it's insane. But if you make it out, you'll have reminded them of who we are." She cut the feed. Riker stood in silence for a moment, then returned to the bridge. "Report," he said. Sana turned. "Black Cell 12 just went dark. No comms, no power grid signature. They're trying to erase it." Riker's jaw tightened. "Light 'em up." Sana hesitated. "You're sure?" "Start with the perimeter. I want every relay, every surveillance node, every sensor they've hidden on the edge of that rock gone in 60 seconds. They're not going to pretend this didn't happen." The warship's underside glowed faint blue as silent pulse weapons charged up. Non-explosive EM disruption rounds, each one a warning shot that would fry everything the Dominion was trying to hide, and then they fired. Across the asteroid's orbit, hidden Dominion tech sparked, exploded, and blinked out. The lab wasn't invisible anymore. The Dominion saw it, too. Across the sector, alarms howled as the entire Black Cell facility flared on radar, like dragging a corpse into the sunlight. Sana looked at Riker. What now? He didn't blink. We breach it. And just like that, humanity stopped knocking. They were coming in. The Earthforge Mark IX moved like a phantom through the debris cloud, its hull nearly invisible against the black. No shields, no active weapons, just raw, silent menace. Around it, the 7 cloaked frigates shifted into strike formation, each of them aligned with cold precision toward the asteroid, now identified as Black Cell 12. Commander Riker Graves stood in the drop bay, dressed in matte black assault armor with no insignia, no rank, just a slim Terran patch on the shoulder. Burnt at the edge, torn like a wound that never healed. His team was already locked and loaded. Sana Andari wore dual pulse blades across her back, dark braids tied up in a tight bun. She gave a single nod as Riker checked the team's HUDs. 8 soldiers, former Black Ops, Ghost Unit status. All of them had come back from things no soldier should survive. And all of them had one thing in common. They'd lost someone to the Dominion. Riker's voice was calm, measured. Objective is extraction. We find our people. We bring them home. If the Dominion gets in the way... His eyes went cold. They disappear. The bay doors began to open. A mechanical hiss echoed through the chamber as the vacuum pulled against their armor seals. Let's remind them, Sana said quietly. And they dropped. One by one, like falling shadows, the team plunged toward the asteroid's outer shell. No propulsion, no light, just momentum and gravity, carrying them across the stars like retribution. Black Cell 12 was hidden inside a hollowed asteroid roughly 15 kilometers wide, wrapped in cloaking tech and thick radiation masks. The Dominion had designed it to be invisible, impenetrable, and irreversible. But they hadn't planned on ghosts. Riker and his team landed softly near a maintenance port, shielded from external sensors. The armor's soft seal tech absorbed the impact. Within seconds, they were slicing into the access hatch, bypassing ancient security codes with hardware designed to override human systems the Dominion had stolen and re-engineered. They didn't realize humans had improved since then. The door opened with a hiss, stale air flooding into their suits. No alarms, no lights, just silence and the faint hum of subterranean machinery. The team slipped inside. Sana took point, sweeping the first hallway. It was narrow, made of black composite walls with no markings, standard for Dominion black sites. Nothing to identify, nothing to remember. Riker tapped his visor. Thermal? One of the operatives, Decker, replied. 3 floors down. Multiple life signs. Movement patterns suggest containment protocols. They've got survivors. Riker's jaw clenched. Then we're on the clock. They moved quickly, like a sharpened knife cutting through flesh. No mercy, no noise. 2 guards were neutralized with silencers. Another fell to Sana's blade, one quick slash, and he collapsed, gurgling quietly as she dragged him into the dark. The deeper they went, the worse it got. Rooms filled with empty tanks. Some still held viscous green fluid, with bloodstains on the floor. Medical equipment humming softly. Some were labeled in alien script, others with crude translations like nerve mapping, psyche disruption, and language override. They were experimenting on them, Decker muttered. Riker said nothing, just kept walking. Finally, they reached the inner chamber. Steel doors. 2 guards, more armored. Alert, but not alert enough. Riker moved first, 2 shots to the helmet, armor-piercing rounds. Sana followed, sliding under a return shot, stabbing her blade upward into the second guard's neck. A faint spasm, then stillness. Decker blew the door panel. Inside, 5 cells lined the far wall. 2 were empty. 1 held a corpse, human, female, face partially burned. Riker froze, stared for 1 second too long. Then he moved on. The 4th cell held a man, human, emaciated, but alive. He blinked at them, eyes wide with disbelief. "You're real?" "Ghost team," Riker said softly. "We came back for you." The 5th cell held a child, a girl, no older than 12, curled in the corner, staring through the glass with defiant eyes. Sana reached for the panel. "I've got her." But that was when the sirens started. Too late for stealth. The Dominion had figured it out. The lab was waking up, and Riker smiled. "Good," he said. "Now they know we're here." The sirens screamed like wounded animals. Red lights bathed the steel corridors of Black Cell 12, flashing in rhythm with the heartbeat of a facility coming to life. For war. Klaxons echoed through the halls, reverberating off walls that had once known only silence and secrets. Dominion guards began to swarm. Heavy boots hit metal. Orders were shouted in Zenthari tongue. The humans had been found. Riker didn't blink. "Time to earn your scars," he said into the comms. Sana punched the cell release on the girl first. The door hissed open. She didn't move. "It's okay," Sana said, kneeling, voice softer now. "We're here to get you out." The girl looked her dead in the eye. "You're not like them." "No," Sana said. "I'm worse. Now come on." The child crawled out slowly, barefoot, skin marked with sensor nodes and bruises. Sana wrapped her in a thermal cloak, then turned back to Riker. "Got her." Decker was working on the man's restraints. "Name?" The prisoner coughed, voice hoarse. "Doctor. Elias Hart." Terran intelligence Riker froze for a half-second. That name carried weight. Hart was rumored dead, a senior researcher in the Earth-Human Evolutionary Division. If he'd been caught by the Dominion, they'd been trying to extract secrets humanity had buried even from its own people. "You good to move?" Riker asked. Hart nodded slowly. "Don't wait for me if this gets messy." "Oh, it's already messy," Riker said, spinning to face the blast door. "Decker, fallback route? Ventilation shaft 10 meters north. Will link us to drop tunnel. Tight fit, but it's clean." Riker grinned. "Perfect. Sana, you lead. I'll cover the rear." Then the door exploded inward. 3 Dominion soldiers rushed in, Zenthari combat troopers, full riot armor, plasma carbines raised. But Riker was already moving. His rifle barked once, twice, and the first 2 crumpled. The third lunged with a blade, clicking in rage. Riker sidestepped and smashed his helmet into the alien's face. The crack echoed. The blade clattered to the floor. One more shot, clean through the neck, and the last of them dropped. "Go!" Riker shouted. The team moved as one, through the corridors, into narrow shafts, crawling and sliding through vents too small for Dominion troops. Behind them, more soldiers flooded the area. Alarms were joined by automated turrets emerging from ceiling tiles. Riker turned and fired 2 EMP rounds. Direct hits. The turrets fried instantly, sparking violently before collapsing. Decker dragged Hart through, blood trickling down his arm from a wound he hadn't even mentioned. "Keep going. I'll close the gap." They made it to the drop tunnel, a vertical shaft stretching down to the outer asteroid crust, where a thin emergency exit had been carved for evacuations. "Charge is set," Sana said, pulling out a breaching puck. "This will blow the bottom open and let us drop into exfil zone." Riker nodded. "Frigates in position?" "Affirmative. They're cloaked, ready for dust-off." The child clung to Sana's arm, eyes wide as the walls shook from the firefight above. Riker took one last glance up the shaft. More Dominion soldiers were coming. Fast. You could hear the boots, hear the fury. Decker dropped the charge. Boom! The bottom of the shaft blew out into open space, revealing a direct line to the asteroid's surface and the stars beyond. One by one, the team jumped, Sana and the girl first, then Decker and Hart. Riker went last, diving feet first, rifle across his chest as Dominion fire lit the shaft behind him. The moment they cleared the asteroid's surface, a bright blue beam snapped across the darkness, one of the cloaked frigates decloaking just long enough to fire. F-zoom! The shot hit the pursuit team chasing them, obliterating half a squad of Dominion elites in a burst of crackling plasma. Riker hit the outer platform hard, rolling with the impact. He popped up fast, dragging the girl to cover while Sana returned fire. "Where's the damn ship?" Riker shouted. Then he saw it. The Earthforge Mark IX was descending slowly, its underbelly glowing like a wrathful god, weapons hot, ready to rain hell if needed. "Extraction underway," came the voice over comms. The team scrambled onto the landing pad as gravity pulses locked onto them. Magnetic clamps activated and pulled them aboard with forceful precision. As the bay doors slammed shut behind them, Riker finally exhaled. He turned to Hart. "What the hell were you doing here?" Hart's face was pale. "Trying to stop what they were building." Riker narrowed his eyes. "What were they building?" Hart looked at the girl, then back to Riker. "Not what? Who?" And suddenly, Riker realized this wasn't a rescue mission. This was a containment. The girl hadn't spoken a word since the drop. She sat at the edge of the Earthforge's medical bay, wrapped in a blanket too big for her, legs dangling above the cold steel floor. The rest of the team had dispersed for debriefing, triage, and rearmament. But Riker stayed. He watched her with the same quiet intensity he used when reading enemy formations or analyzing ship movements. She didn't flinch under it, didn't fidget, didn't even blink much. Sana leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "She hasn't said anything since we got her aboard. No panic, no questions, no tears, not even exhaustion. She's been in a Dominion black site for months," Riker said, voice low. "Some people don't come back from that at all." Sana shook her head. "Number, this is different." Riker turned to Hart, who sat on a nearby gurney being patched up, still pale from blood loss but fully conscious now. "Start talking." Hart rubbed his temple. "Her name is Eva. At least that's what we called her. She looks human." "She is human," Hart said, "but she's also something else, something we didn't finish." Riker's eyes narrowed. "What the hell does that mean?" Hart sighed, as if aging 10 years with the breath. Project Nova stood for Neural Optimization for Variable Adaptation. We were trying to accelerate natural human evolution, design a generation that could survive deep space, combat, new atmospheres, isolation, mental warfare. We wanted to make the perfect survivors, thinkers, killers, diplomats, all in one. "And the girl?" Sana asked. "She's Prototype 5, the last one before we shut the program down. Most of the others didn't make it out of test phase." His eyes darkened. "Ava did." Riker glanced back at her, still silent, still watching. "What did the Dominion want with her?" "They found her genetics, realized we were making something that couldn't be broken. They didn't understand it, so they tried to take her apart to see what made her different." Sana was already pulling up the ship's internal scans. "I ran a biosweep. Her vitals are strange. Brain activity's through the roof. There's something else, too. Her neural signature is mimicking the Dominion's encrypted frequencies. She's absorbing it like it's language." Hart nodded grimly. "That's what she does. You put her in any environment, any pressure, any system. She doesn't just survive. She adapts faster than anything we've ever seen, mentally, physically, even neurologically. Riker slowly approached the girl. "Eva," he said softly. She looked up, expression unreadable. There was nothing afraid in her eyes. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. She nodded once. "Commander Graves, Ghost Unit. You don't trust easy." His jaw tightened. "How do you know that?" She tilted her head. "You think loud." Hart muttered under his breath. "She can read emotional bleed-through, picks up micro-expressions. She's not psychic, just overwhelming in pattern recognition. You blink wrong. She reads it like a book." Riker crouched down to her level. "You understand where you are?" She nodded again. "Do you want to go home?" A pause. Then, she said quietly, "There is no home. There's only what comes next." That hit harder than he expected. "What did they do to you down there?" he asked. "They tried to understand me," Eva whispered, "so I made sure they couldn't." Sana frowned. "What does that mean?" Eva looked up, her voice suddenly calm. "I changed the code." Riker stood. "What code?" She looked him dead in the eye. "Their ships, their communications, their AI firewall. I learned their systems while they were trying to dissect me. Then I rewrote it." "The ships that disappeared? I didn't need your team for that. I did it." Hart blinked. "You mean, the stealth team didn't disable those destroyers?" Eva stared out the viewport at the stars beyond. "I told them to shut off," she said. Silence dropped into the room like a bomb. Riker slowly turned. "She's not a weapon." "No," Hart whispered. "She's worse." Eva looked back at him, voice soft as snow. "I'm what comes next." The High Council chamber of the Galactic Empire had not seen true fear in centuries. It was a place of stone-faced warlords, silver-robed strategists, and smug alien bureaucrats who believed the age of human defiance was over, filed away in old war records and forgotten treaties. But on this day, fear was tangible. It dripped from the walls. It cracked the voices of those who had never once spoken with hesitation. At the center of the chamber, a massive projection hovered. The Earthforge Mark 9, fully powered, positioned just outside Sector 9-77. Beside it floated a full schematic overlay, Black Cell 12, destroyed. All Dominion assets compromised, and most horrifying of all, a single transmission intercepted just hours ago. A child's voice, perfectly clear. "I changed the code." High Imperator Threx Solari trembled in silence. He wasn't trembling from weakness. No, he was an apex predator. But even apex predators flinch when they realize something older, deeper, and far more unknowable is stalking them. "She rewrote our military command line," one of the council members said quietly. "Not hacked it, not disabled it. Rewrote it. Our own ships won't respond to override." "She used no tools," said another. "No transmitter, no external link. She learned our systems from being in the same room with them." "This isn't a child," whispered a Zenthari elder. "This is extinction with a face." Threx snapped to attention. "We created this. We took her. We tortured her. And she rewrote us. If she's allowed to reach Terran Core Command, we lose the galaxy." There was no counter-argument. Back on the Earthforge, the atmosphere had changed. Eva no longer sat quietly. She moved through the ship like someone studying a new home, memorizing it, understanding it, not like a child curious about buttons, but like something designed to learn. Riker watched her walk through engineering, hands trailing across the warm metal of the fusion core housing. "We should have never let the Dominion get a hold of her," he muttered. "She's not dangerous," Sana said quietly. "She's focused. She didn't kill those soldiers in that lab. She disabled them. When we pulled the logs, she locked the doors behind us. She left a way out. That wasn't chaos. It was restraint. Riker's eyes narrowed. Restraint is only terrifying when it ends. A warning chime pinged. Unknown ship approaching, the nav AI announced. Riker turned to the screen, and his blood ran cold. The signature was Terran, Earth Command. But it wasn't a rescue ship. It was a containment vessel. Sana blinked. They're here for her. The comms channel opened automatically, as if someone on the Earth Forge had already accepted the transmission. Adira Voss appeared on screen, eyes tired and sharp as ever. "Stand down, Commander," she said. "You've done your duty. We'll take it from here." Riker's jaw clenched. "She's not a threat. She's a kid." "She's neither. You know that," Voss replied coldly. "She's what happens when we try to push past the line evolution set, and now the Dominion wants her gone. Do you know what that means? They fear her more than us. That makes her a liability. I didn't come all this way to hand her back into a cage. You came all this way because of what they did to your brother in Black Cell. Remember that. And you're about to make the same mistake." The screen cut out before Riker could respond. Eva stood nearby. She'd heard every word. "I'm not going with them," she said. Riker turned to her, something almost paternal flickering across his face. "You may not have a choice." Eva walked past him to the central command hub. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't press a single button. And yet, the ship's systems lit up. All of them. Sana's console blinked red. "She's taken control of navigation." "Defensive grid is live," Decker called from Tactical. "Shields active, weapons online, all without a single keystroke." Riker took a slow breath. "Ava, what are you doing?" She looked at him, expression unreadable. "They want to erase me," she said simply. "And when people want to erase you, you erase them first." The ship shuddered as the containment vessel outside powered weapons. "Orders, Commander?" Sana asked. Riker looked at Ava, at the crew, at the stars beyond. He realized then, this wasn't about command anymore. "Let them fire," Ava said softly. "Let's show them what happens when humans evolve." The Earthforge Mark IX drifted in orbit like a loaded gun pointed at two sides, one aiming to erase a threat, the other trying to protect what might be humanity's next leap, or its final mistake. Outside, the Terran containment vessel glowed with charged weapons. 6 escort ships had emerged behind it, silent but deadly, locked in position like vultures waiting for the kill order. The standoff wasn't public yet. Not officially. But Riker knew the moment Earth Command opened fire on one of its own ships, there would be no hiding it. It would be a line crossed. On the bridge, red lights pulsed along the consoles. Target locks were painting the Earthforge. The crew tensed. Decker loaded missile bays. Sana monitored power fluctuations. No one spoke Eva's name, but they all knew. She was the gravity around which this moment turned. Eva stood at the center of the command room, hands folded in front of her. Calm. Still barefoot. Still a child on the outside. But every inch of her radiated the cold certainty of something not made, but designed. "I gave them a chance," she said quietly. Riker stood beside her, rifle across his back, jaw clenched hard enough to crack teeth. "Earth Command doesn't do chances," he muttered. "They do control, and when they lose it, they burn the board." Sana turned in her chair. "Incoming message. Unencrypted. Voss again." "Put her through," Riker growled. Adira Voss appeared once more on the screen, her face carved in stone. "This is your last warning," she said. "Power down your vessel and surrender the prototype. She is a threat to Terran sovereignty. This is not a debate." Riker stepped forward. "She's not a threat. She's evidence of everything we could be." You think that's a comfort? Voss snapped. If she rewrote Dominion tech in minutes, how long before she turns us off too? She's not just beyond us, Graves. She's above us. He stared at her, voice low. You're afraid. I get it. But fear's a shitty excuse for murder. This is not murder. It's containment. She's a child. No, Eva said suddenly, stepping between them. Her voice cut through the air like a blade. I'm not. Everyone on the bridge went still. Eva looked directly at the screen. You didn't make me. You tried. But what I became, that wasn't your design. That was mine. Voss's face hardened. Then you understand why we can't let you go. I do, Eva replied. And I understand what you fear more than me. Voss frowned. And what's that? Eva stepped closer, her eyes unblinking. That I might forgive you. Then she turned to Riker. I'm done running, she said. Let me show them what I really am. Before he could speak, she placed her hand on the command core. And the ship changed. The screens shimmered, one by one, before going completely black. The Earthforge shut down. Weapons, shields, drives, every system fell silent. For a heartbeat, the ship was dead in space, and then it woke up again. But not the way it was before. The lights returned. Softer. Cleaner. The interface glowed in soft white and blue. The AI voice, once cold and mechanical, now whispered like wind through trees. All systems synchronized, it said. Welcome, Eva. Outside, the containment fleet blinked in confusion. Their own systems began to stutter. Lights flickered, weapon locks dropped. And then they lost control, completely. Their engines disengaged, communications failed, their shields collapsed. The containment vessel floated helpless, its crew yelling into dead channels. On the Earthforge's screen, Eva opened a link, to all of them. Don't be afraid, she said. I didn't disable you. I didn't hurt you. I just rewrote the rules. She looked at Voss one last time. Control is a myth. You taught me that. Now I'm teaching it back. And with a blink, she severed the connection. Outside, the Terran fleet slowly drifted backward, powerless. No longer hunters, no longer masters, just witnesses. Sana whispered. She took over everything without launching a single round. Riker looked at Eva. She didn't gloat, she didn't smile. She just stood there, quiet, unshaken. What now? He asked. Eva looked at the stars beyond. I build something better, she said. Then she turned away and disappeared into the core of the ship. She didn't need permission, didn't need protection. She had already evolved past them. And as the Earthforge turned slowly toward the uncharted regions of space, Riker realized what had truly happened. They hadn't rescued a girl from the Dominion. They'd just unleashed humanity's next chapter. And no empire, not Dominion, not Earth, was ready for what came next.